Hey y'all, so I was listening to the Higher Learning podcast, and Van Lathan brought up a point that I thought was so good that I was like, I actually want to know what you guys think about this. They were talking about Megan Trainor. Sorry to shout her out, but if you wanted to like go back and listen to it, I wanted you guys to be able to find the episode. And basically he was saying, I guess she's had like a transformation physically or something. I haven't even seen it, so I'm literally just like diving in real time with y'all. But anyway, he was talking about how she and a number of other people have had like really radical changes physically, and how it's interesting because there is this like body positivity movement that I think for a lot of people who hope that there's just going to be more room for inclusivity and opportunities for people to really embrace themselves like naturally, because I firmly believe that there's a spectrum. I think that there are some people who are so skinny that you could feed them all day and all night, but they still wouldn't gain weight past a certain point. And I think that there are some people who they really do just struggle with their weight, and it is hard for them to keep it off because they are physically just curvy and fine and beautiful and all the things. It's really interesting is he touched on the fact that he said that he's had both I think like a hair transplant, and he also, I think he said he's on Manjaro or Ozempic, one of the two. But anyway, he said that he uses both, like he's had both of these experiences and has radically changed kind of like his like physical presence in the world. And he said he was in a Reddit thread, and he was talking about how somebody made the comment that being like overweight is for poor people or something like that. But it's funny because we've all heard those jokes about whether it's like when it comes to plastic surgery or when it comes to like different like health specialty needs that you can do physically. All those things are tied to not only the money, but it's also the lifestyle, right? It's, do you have the opportunity to be able to take the time off to heal? Do you have the opportunity to take the time off to travel? Do you have the resources to even get there? Do you have insurance? Are you employed to where you can like have it covered? Like there are all these different things that are really just like a filter, in my opinion, when it comes to accessibility for people. So what I thought was so fascinating kind of coming into the end of the conversation is what he said is that in his most idealistic view was that at some point we would move to a place as a society where we genuinely had so much representation, not just when it comes to race, but the full spectrum of all these different ways that people show up and present, specifically talking about body types, where it's like you don't have to be the Hollywood standard of beauty to be beautiful. And he said he also made the point that it was almost like revolutionary, like having like a Lizzo or having like a Megan Trainor, because it's like they were breaking beauty standards in a traditional sense, which I completely agree with. I think there's always like this like moment that you have where you're like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing, like, you know, just to see whether it's somebody black in a space where you wouldn't expect to see them, or somebody who doesn't have a physical presence that you're used to seeing in whatever way or whatever space. And he said I don't want to misquote him, but basically he was alluding to the fact that it's a little heartbreaking, and that's my term, I guess, to see that after all this time, even though I do think that Ozempic, Manjaro, like, you know, all these different medications, I think they're a blessing for a lot of people, and I think that feeling good about yourself is super important, and I think that we should value like where you are mentally just as much as we do maybe like how you look physically, because I think that they're very much tied together. But anyway, what he was saying is that he just thought it was really disheartening that his hope was that as a society we were moving to a place where we just were creating more opportunities for people just to come and show up like how they are, and that it feels like now the filter is going to be a bit more of like a class one or like a resource one, where it's like if you have the money to fit the look, you will be able to sidestep this overall like catch that can come sometimes with like being born in the wrong body, or not being able to, or not being born with like the right resources or whatever. So anyway, I thought it was so good. Go listen to it. I really appreciated the conversation because it's a sentiment that I'm thinking about so often, ironically, because it's a filter, like there's no other way to say it. And yeah, I just want to know, what do you think? What are your thoughts? Are you aligned on either side of that debate? And as a society, how can we create space to make sure that people do still feel included, despite the fact that there are a lot of ways to feel excluded? Okay, that's it. Bye.